Dr. Vegapunk, after 25 years, has finally revealed his power. A power like no other. A power that will change the world. The power to make imaginations into realities. The power to create waifus. Okay, seriously, apart from turning VR into reality, our balls deep prediction hockey was once again confirmed. From Vegapunk having multiple cyborg variants, to Bonney being the daughter of Kuma and the next princess in which Luffy will save. But most importantly, Dr. Vegapunk will help Luffy and the Straw Hats to gain new powers. Let's go! One Piece chapter 1062 starts from the continuation of the last, with Luffy, Jinbei, Chopper and Bonney being separated from the rest of the crew, where the others was found by none other than Dr. Vegapunk. Well, at least one of them. But the Straw Hats instantly starts fanning out. Frankie states his immense respect and goes into his 2-year-long adventure on Vegapunk's hometown laboratory. Out of everyone, I'm expecting Vegapunk to be extremely impressed by what Frankie achieved. We are hoping that the Straw Hats will come out with more tech, right? Well, it's not far-fetched that Frankie himself might be able to get his own Gundam in the size of a giant. Let's not forget, they are eventually gonna have to go to Elbaf. And considering Usopp's reaction, he excitedly literally starts comparing sizes, saying Vegapunk's Gundam is many times bigger than General Frankie's, while Sanji is, well, damn shawty. Yeah, Sanji. Robin, on the other hand, is asking the more important questions. She calls out Vegapunk's identity, stating she never heard of him being a woman, let alone the age. It don't match up. This is when the female Vegapunk reveals she isn't the main body, which Oda pronounced as Stella. However, even though she's not the main body, her way of speaking is inferred to be that of an old man. This version then reveals she is Punk 02, Vegapunk Lilith, also written as evil. Lilith then goes on to say that right now they're kinda tight on money, so like a pirate, she decides to rob them, telling the Straw Hats to hand over their valuables and then she will let them go. Lilith then reminds them she ain't on their side, and how in any normal circumstance, no ship would have been able to cross these waters. So once she is done with them, the sea beast weapons will finish them off. Yes, Vegapunk has created not just Gundams, not just laser-eyed megalodons, but ginormous mecha sea beasts as the crew freaks out. Well, at least some of them. The other half gets more excited in seeing them. Lilith then gets a mysterious call from none other than the first Vegapunk, 01, Shaka. Shaka questions Lilith on her actions and to have more pride as a scientist. Instantly, we can see a disparity between these different versions, but what's clear is that Lilith doesn't take any orders, even though she's not number 1. Lilith is the representation of the evil necessary within human nature, whereas Shaka is the voice of reason personifying logic. Regardless, her reasonings isn't reaching Lilith, as she argues back, telling Shaka that this pride won't continue to fund their research. The lack of finance tells us that Vegapunk must be working on something which isn't authorized by the government and needs more funding than what's currently provided. But to completely shut down Lilith, Shaka brings her back to reality, explaining it's not wise to challenge a Yonko's crew. In fact, Shaka tells Lilith to look at Zoro, explaining the reason he is so calm. It's because he can slice her head off in an instant. Likewise with Robin, alongside the others who are acting all goofy. However, luckily for Lilith, Zoro puts his sword down, telling her to play nice, as he has something he wants from Vegapunk. Shaka, in hearing this, says no matter, bring them over. I have an interest in that crew. Everything is falling into place. A lot of you guys questioned us on why Vegapunk will help the Straw Hats. Well, as I mentioned, Vegapunk has been working on the nature of devil fruits for decades. I believe he knows that the ancient kingdom had technology which far surpasses the current times. Well, kinda. Where the devil fruits were actually a biological project started by the ancient civilization. And Vegapunk, to unlock the secrets of the past, to continue and further science, needs to fully understand the essence of of what makes a devil fruit a devil fruit. After seeing Luffy's bounty poster, some part of Vegapunk must know he ate the Hito no Mi model Nika, or at least he has some suspicions and wants to investigate it further. However, it's evident not every variant thinks the same, as only Shaka pointed out this interest. At this point, we pan to see an image of Shaka, Vegapunk 01, the representation of logic, who is wearing a helmet. The way the different variations of these Vegapunk work is further elaborated by CP0. Yes, as we move further to another part of the new world, we come to Robelucci, who alongside Kaku and Stussy are heading right for Egghead Island. There's gonna be a big ass party and it looks like everyone is invited.
Get out! Out!
Swords and the Navy G14 being close by, and now CP0 coming into the mix. We can see how this story is going to play, especially knowing CP0's mission, which is to assassinate Dr. Vegapunk. Yes, if there wasn't a good reason for Dr. Vegapunk to help Luffy and the Straw Hats, now there is. With this, they will have to work together in order to fight off the incoming threat. But to complete their mission, CP0 breaks down exactly who and what Vegapunk is. Where in fact, there are 6 Vegapunks. Confused? Well, don't be, because Vegapunk is still the same old man we were told about throughout the story. This ain't no retcon. Don't worry, I'll break it down for you guys. Now, let's get into my balls deep class of anime bullshit science. As Kaku explains, Vegapunk, due to the amount of work and the lack of time he has created a means allowing him to do everything at once. He calls these 6 satellites, which explains the headgear we have seen. As I said last week, it's likely Vegapunk sends signals to them where they receive it and can operate in such manner. And though not exactly a shadow clone jutsu, it's not far from what we have seen in Naruto. I'm talking about the 6 paths of pain, because Vegapunk managed to disperse himself into 6 different bodies, likely being cyborgs. This would allow his genius brain to be utilized more efficiently. Think about it, if you're super genius and you have so much to do, at the same time, you're probably gonna go crazy with all that information in your head, so you gotta split it in some way. And from what Lilith told Nico Robin, we know that this original old man Vegapunk is named Stella, or at least is referred to as such by the other variants. But the name Stella has a deeper meaning, being a star, where in a reference to an individual, it states that it's a person that lived at a place where the roads radiate out in various different directions, like in the shape of a star, basically being a central coordinate. Stars usually are drawn with 5 different points, much like Vegapunk's own symbol. This could mean that Punk 01 is the main body whose mind is split into 5 different directions. Or Vegapunk's main body is outside of these 6 satellites in hibernation, connected to a neural link that splits his personality in 6 different, traits or something. It's all crazy up in here. Regardless, the distinction for these 6 Vegapunks are depicted on a classified document held by CP0. We see the main Dr. Vegapunk sending signals to these 6 satellites from Punk 01 to Punk 06. The first being Punk 01 is written as logic and pronounced as Shaka. Now this is a pattern that you will see throughout all 6 punks. They have a meaning behind them, which shows their purpose, and the pronunciation shows the influence behind them. Shaka's name, for instance, generally represents justice or logic and can be read as a star, which again reinforces that Shaka might be the original body. However, still, as his mind is split into 5 other bodies, Shaka cannot be the original. Regardless, the name Shaka has an origin from the Japanese name for the original Buddha, a spiritual leader who had enlightenment, meaning he understood how the universe worked in full, representing the vastness of knowledge he possessed. This could be a depiction of Shaka being the leader of all Vegapunks, denoted by its purpose, influence, and the fact that again it's the first. Next is Vegapunk 02, written as evil and pronounced as Lilith. Now this one is kind of straightforward, with Lilith being a Vegapunk representing the evil that it commits for greater good, for the world government for instance, or for any other things that comes with science, as science itself is not inherently good or bad, likewise with technology, rather it's how you use it. But to further science, sometimes the end has to justify the means, and this is what Lilith represents. Also, from a biblical standpoint, being number 2 makes a lot of sense, along with the reference to Kuma. So the simple explanation, especially in this context, is that she is a succubus, a devil, Lilith.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Next, written as Flare, pronounced as Edison, is the third Vegapunk. Well, we only know one Edison, right? Thomas Edison, the guy who controversially invented the light bulb, right? The variant is likely the creative side to what Vegapunk has to offer. Written as Wisdom, pronounced as Pythagoras, Punk 04 is obvious as it gets. Pythagoras is arguably the most influential philosopher of all times, having influenced Aristotle, Plato, and even literally all of the Western philosophers actually, to be honest. Next we have Punk 05, written as Wrath, pronounced as Atlas. Atlas in the Greek mythology was a titan forced to hold the heavens as a punishment by Zeus after the Titans lost the war. However, in this context, this Punk most definitely might be the strongest, being a giant with raw power, representing how Vegapunk's intelligence can bring down the wrath to those who challenge it. Next, written as Desire, pronounced as Yoke, where again in the biblical aspect is represented as the balance of burden. With great intelligence, the desire to expand and innovate can drive a person insane, let alone desire for anything. But with that, that's all 6. However, so far 3 of the 6 Vegapunks are introduced to us, and from the way it looks, it's highly suggested that Dr. Vegapunk is a big fan of Shanks' daughter Uta. Yep, he loves the diva, because 2 out of 3 of them shown resemblance to her a lot.
That's suspicious.
But coming back to the CP0, they conclude their conversation, showing us they have the possession of the Seraphim, model Kuma. Vegapunk created these new pacifista out of the 7 warlords, mixing their DNA with the Lunarians. However, it seems like there is something wrong with Kuma's model. These Seraphims are supposed to obey every command of the Navy and the Celestial Dragon, so it's kind of possible that this one is a faulty one, maybe done purposely. So after returning the Seraphim back, the CP0 are ordered to wipe out every Vegapunk from existence, whilst leaving his lab and research intact, reinforcing our theory of Vegapunk working on something that the government doesn't want him to. We get a clue on what this could be, and Rob Lucci questions if it's connected to the incident in Rurusia Kingdom the other day. Imusoma was the one who pulled the trigger, deleting the country from existence. The only reason she would have wanted to kill a valuable asset like Vegapunk would be because he has the means or knowledge to stop her, bringing us back to Vegapunk's secret project.
With this winter island having climate that of a summer island, it's already confirmed Vegapunk has the power to alter climate and weather. And a sky-based weapon such as Uranus, its only weakness would be changes in the sky. Maybe Vegapunk can help the Straw Hats to uncover Uranus from the clouded skies for an angle of attack, or his weather manipulation could even confuse Uranus into not hitting the target it's supposed to. This technology can also be the key to fixing the unpredictable weather of the new world, thus helping unite the world and create one piece. Cutting back to Luffy, Bonney, Chopper, and Jinbei, they are curious if Bonney has been to this island before, and she reveals that balls deep prediction hockey has come true once again, with Bonney being related to Kuma as his daughter. Those of you who had the notification bell rung while wearing your Nakama shirts already knew this last week. Bonney being Kuma's daughter is one of the only explanations to how Akainu knew of her, and how she was able to disguise herself as the queen consort of the Sorbet Kingdom to sneak inside the Reverie. Although the government wants to get rid of Vegapunk now, their tune was very different in the past. Before Vegapunk gave them the Seraphims, the weapons that literally replaced the 7 warlords, he was a very valuable asset. And with Bonney having visited Egghead Island, plus having her own father turn into a cyborg, she knows a lot more about the tech and the mysteries behind Vegapunk than anyone else in the world. With this secret knowledge, of course, Akainu and the government would be wary of her knowledge and want to keep her under control. Like we said last week, the government definitely pulled a fast one on Kuma and his kingdom, forcing him to obey them. Bonney explains that when Kuma was turned into a cyborg, ultimately he he lost all sense of self as a human. He's nothing more than a living weapon. Bonnie's genuine care for her father and hatred towards the government also reveals a new layer to her character, propping her up to be the princess Luffy and the gang have to help this arc. Bonney also reveals that she met Sabo at Marijua, confirming that she knows what happened during the reverie, the actual real truth. But the only thing on her mind is food. So she does not reveal anything to us right now. As the gang get to the surface, there is a giant space monster, a bunch of animals flying around, rockets, futuristic buildings, and it looks nothing like the winter island that we were just at. Luffy gets excited seeing a dragon-like monster as he wants to ride it just like he did Momonosuke. However, he just passes right through it. Even the food they find can't be eaten as everything around them is a hologram. At this point, a giant chibi-looking girl then appears, explaining all these crazy phenomenon, where this island has been climate controlled to become a summer island with its high-tech aircon. Yes, Vegapunk has created a machine that can control the weather, just like we mentioned earlier. Luffy pays no mind to what she has to say, rather he tries punching her thinking she's a hollow too. But the girl's like, "Shut up, bitch!" No wonder 3 members of CP0 has been sent to deal with this high-level genius. As Luffy is blasted away, he hits a high-tech machine where food can actually be touched and eaten, and it starts being prepared. The giant girl is happy that everyone loves the food as they gobble up everything in no time. She explains how this is her invention that can turn raw ingredients into any type of dish in a matter of seconds. Then this kid starts complaining about the lack of engineers, resources, and money. If they had enough of that, then all of their endless ideas can be manifested. She gets so heated up in rage, the giant kid randomly punches a poor and helpless holographic monster nearby. This shocks Luffy and the others as he himself wasn't able to interact with it. Kid explains she was able to punch the monster because of her photon gloves, which allow her to interact with the photons. Basically, the moment a person touches something, they acknowledge it as an object. Everything around this fantastical place is real as long as you acknowledge it as real, and of course have one of these awesome gloves. Luffy then questions if anything is actually real then, in which this girl big brains the response saying debates on what's real and not real are as old as time. At this point, we finally come to learn who this kid is. Just another resident scientific genius for hire, Dr. Vegapunk. As we mentioned earlier, this is Atlas Vegapunk number 05 of Wrath. This holographic technology to me feels like a devil fruit ability, but if Vegapunk is actually able to create this, then it means he can literally control reality and matter around him once he implements this technology around the world. In a way, Vegapunk is creating an access to a new form of energy, much like the current world system of Haki. As we know from Zoro's fight against Da's bones, everything is breathing, from metals to even the meat Luffy eats. This breathing is that of an object's Haki. The difference between the objects and conscious beings is that humans can not just breathe but speak and communicate with their Haki, like using your will to subdue someone else. So it's not far-fetched to think that Vegapunk could have discovered this fact and channeled this concept into manipulating the breath of objects or their Haki. This is just the advanced level tech of how Zoro can hear steel and manipulate it through his sword. The hologram interacts with only a certain wavelength, and Vegapunk is utilizing this type of energy to advance the world just like the ancient civilization did with devil fruits and Haki. Most importantly, with this power, anyone would be able to program and interact with their favorite waifu.
Woo! Yeah, baby!
Anyway, go check out this video on screen right now because it's another banger where we go even deeper into who Vegapunk might actually be, the real Vegapunk 01 Shaka.